Hey everyone, let's talk about something we hear about all the time, gender and sexuality. Now these two often get lumped together, but they are totally different things. And you know what? Getting that difference right is super important. So let's just jump right in.
So what is the real difference anyway? I bet it's a question you've maybe even asked yourself, and that's totally fair. Today, we're going to break it all down and get a really clear, straightforward answer.
But before we get into the definitions, let's be clear about why this matters. This isn't about memorizing a bunch of labels or trying to fit people into neat little boxes. Not at all. The real goal here is all about respect. It's about clarity, and ultimately, it's about making sure everyone has the space to define themselves for themselves.
All right, let's start with the first piece of the puzzle, gender. The big thing to remember here, gender is something that's internal. It's a deeply personal experience.
So what does that mean exactly? Well, gender is all about how you see and experience yourself. It's that gut feeling, that internal sense of who you truly are. It might line up with the sex you were assigned at birth, or it might not. The most important thing is that it's your own personal sense of identity. And we can break this down even further. Think of it like this. Gender identity is that core feeling of who you are inside. Then there's gender expression, which is how you show that identity to the world. Through your clothes, your hair, your mannerisms. And finally, you have social expectations, which are kind of like the roles or stereotypes society might have. And let's be real, a lot of people find those expectations don't fit them at all, so they challenge them.
And the ways people experience gender are incredibly diverse. Some people identify as a woman, some as a man, but many others identify as non-binary, which just means their identity falls outside of that man/woman binary. You might also hear terms like genderqueer, agender, or gender fluid. The point is, there's no single right way to be.
Okay, so we've got gender down. It's about who you are on the inside. Now let's switch gears to the second big concept, sexuality. And if gender is about who you are, sexuality is all about attraction.
Yeah, sexuality, or what's often called sexual orientation, is basically the pattern of who you're attracted to. And that attraction can be on different levels, right? It could be emotional, romantic, sexual, or even a complete lack of attraction. It's all about who you might feel a pull towards, if anyone.
And just like with gender, there's a whole spectrum of sexual orientations. You've probably heard of many of these, like lesbian, gay, bisexual, pansexual, or asexual. Of course, this isn't the whole list. Some people use a broader term like queer, and hey, some people don't use any label at all, and that's perfectly fine.
Here's something really important to remember. For some folks, who they're attracted to stays pretty much the same their whole lives. But for others, it can be fluid. It can change over time. And the main takeaway here is that every single one of those experiences is completely valid. There's no wrong way to feel.
Okay, so we've looked at the two pieces of the puzzle separately. Now, let's put them side by side. This is where it all clicks into place. This is the core difference, the big aha moment.
Here it is, as simple as it gets. Gender is about who you are. It's your identity. Sexuality is about who you're attracted to. See the difference? Who you are versus who you love. That's it. That's the fundamental distinction.
And this is huge. These two things are completely independent of each other. They're like two different settings on your personal dashboard. Knowing someone's gender tells you absolutely nothing about their sexuality. A trans person can be straight, gay, bi, ace, anything. Just like a cisgender person. One doesn't determine the other. Period.
So, why does all this matter so much? Why is it so important to get this right? Because understanding this isn't just an academic exercise. It has a real-world impact on people's lives. This is the bedrock of respect. It's how we become true allies.
Think about it. When we mix these two up, we end up making all kinds of harmful assumptions. Like, you might see how someone dresses and assume you know who they're attracted to. Or you might see who someone's dating and make a wrong assumption about their gender. These kinds of mistakes really hurt because they completely ignore who a person actually is.
But the good news is, when we do get it, we can do so much better. We can have conversations that are actually respectful. We can help create spaces at school, at work, in our families, where everyone feels safe and included. And we can show up as better allies for the people in our lives.
And listen, if any of this is new to you or you're still wrapping your head around it, that is totally okay. Seriously, nobody expects you to be an expert overnight. Learning is a process. The goal isn't to be perfect. It's just to be open to understanding and showing respect.
And that really brings us to the most powerful and important point of this whole explainer. It doesn't matter if you're figuring out your own identity or learning how to be there for someone else. The core truth is this: your identity is valid, exactly as it is. Full stop.
So I'll leave you with a question to carry with you. Now that we've broken all this down, how can each of us, in our own little corners of the world, create more space for people to just be themselves? How can we give others and ourselves the freedom to define who we are on our own terms? Something to think about. Thanks for joining me.